nimble, and I felt small. And I was just like, at the break, not the break, after they stopped messing around, and there was a point I just said, hey, dude, it looked like you guys knew what you were doing. And he's like, yeah, I'm a world champion jiu-jitsu player. I forgot how he said it, but I was like, wow, man, I've been thinking about like learning, doing something to work out because I'm just feeling old and weak. And he's like, oh man, let's start training. Come on, I'll come out to my place. And at the time, shortly thereafter, I started working out with Dan Rose, the co-founder of Six Pack Shortcuts, and we worked out twice a week for like a year and a half. And at one point, he says, "Hey, dude, have you ever done Muay Thai, which is Thai kickboxing?" I was like, "Fuck no, that sounds horrible. Like that sounds painful and unpleasant, and no thanks." And he's like, "Oh, come on," and he just kept persisting, and he started showing me how like getting punched like made me stronger, not just physically but mentally, and like how after a while like taking punches, just like I realized like 80 to 90% of the population, if you fucking punch them, they freak out, and they like and like after a while it's just getting kicked here over and over and holding pads and stuff, and it just made me feel so much stronger. So at one point I said, man, I know somebody who does jujitsu and Muay Thai. And we called Mikal, and dude, at the time I was kind of struggling. So Dan paid for a bunch of, like a big set of private sessions, and he's like, dude, come work out with us. So I started doing jujitsu and Muay Thai with a world champion. And it started transforming my life. I started walking differently, talking differently, thinking differently. And then I found out he was about to open up a club, a jiu-jitsu club. And I didn't know this about jiu-jitsu clubs or most martial arts places, but most of them will end up going out of business within the first 2 to 3 years, because what you have in these instances is almost always people who are so passionate about their thing, but they're not good business people. And then other ones that stay open a little bit longer, they're great business people, but they suck at the thing, at the, whatever the martial art is. So people get a sense of that over time, so they usually collapse. But even those that stay around, like just because they have the right blend, they struggle. And most martial arts business owners, they have a love-hate relationship with their passion, because they have to be there all day and all night. And very very few of them will ever open more than one center, one club, one gym, whatever. Within the last 2.5 years, our guest speaker tonight, because I was talking to somebody earlier, and I was like, how does the fact that he's won multiple international and world titles have to do with, if you're here to learn about marketing and business? If you've ever hung around with somebody who's masterful at their craft, you know that it's not just that craft, it's how they think, it's how they learn, it's how they absorb and practice and utilize information to execute and get results. So I know of no one that has transferred knowledge from one level of mastery to another so well as Mikal has become a brother to me. He gives advice to my wife does jujitsu, my daughter does jujitsu. Like, this is not just like, hey, but besides all that, I've gotten an inside view to see how over the last 2.5 years, Mikal has gone to masterminds, high ticket masterminds. He gets invited to a bunch of them because he coaches a lot of 7 and 8 figure earners that do jujitsu. Because there's more and more celebrities. Tai Lopez, you got, what's his name, the guy from the '70s show? That married Mia. Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. Like more and more celebrities are getting into it. So a lot of high level internet marketers do jujitsu, and those that are in Austin end up going to work with him. But he absorbs so much information, and he's applied it to his brick-and-mortar business. And then he also has a digital business. So very few people I've seen be able to juggle as many things. But if you, this is what I'll leave off with before I give you the stage. And that there's one of the coaches and now Mikal has 2 centers, by the way, 2 jiu-jitsu clubs, which is unheard of. And he's only been around less than 3 years, right? One of the coaches that trains me every morning is amazing. Like, he's really, really good, and he's a bigger guy. And we were talking the other day, and he goes, dude, you know, you always think you're doing well until like the other day I was just doing some rolling with Coach Mikal, and I thought I was really holding my own. And then the front desk person said, "Hey, this computer somehow logged out. I don't know how to get back in." So while his name is Luke was like trying to like hold his own, Mikal reaches over and logs into a computer, and then comes back like while they're rolling. And so that, if you know much about jiu-jitsu, it's reflective of how he runs his business, how he runs his life. He's a single dad. By the way, that's another cool thing that I don't know that has ever been spoken publicly, but there was a really interesting scenario that happened when his daughter was just an infant, and it was a very, very scary time where Mikal thought he might not see her again, and I was with him through that time, and he handled it. Like, who you're about to see on the stage is not some fucking act of some dude acting cool and smart and strong. That's who he is through and through. So with that, Mikal Abdullah.
So first of all, thank you everybody. Thank you everyone for coming, and hopefully you will find some of the things that I have to say fruitful and helpful in some way. And thank you, David, for the invitation and for allowing me to be a part of this awesome project, right? Interestingly enough, David also, as humble as he is, left out that he, along that time, well, I'll figure it out. Boom. All right. Along that time, he also became a champion in his own right. Right, which is awesome deal. Went out, we trained him, we got him ready. He went out and competed. I think everybody was bigger in your division than you, and he's like mollywop the shit out of those guys, right? We can curse, right? Okay, fuck, right. All right, sweet. All right, so I'm just gonna curse a lot. Can everyone handle that? That's good. All right, so yes.
Just because you might not be aware of it, but it's all getting recorded and then it goes on the YouTube.
That's perfect.
So whatever.
Thank you. That's perfect. Everyone who knows me, then. All right, perfect. All right. Thank you for reminding me, though. What's that?
It's actually live on YouTube.
Yeah, or not recorded.
Okay, perfect, everybody. All right.
No
All right.
editing, just straight in.
All thriller, no filler. All right. That being said, I'm really excited to be here. I'll give a little bit of background on myself in a second, but a little side note on that thing with Luke. It's really interesting. Because when you're rolling, give us some kind of frame of reference. In jiu-jitsu, anybody ever grapple, wrestle, jiu-jitsu, that kind of stuff? Excellent. All right. So when you're going, you can go full tilt. You know, the person's trying to attack you and all that kind of stuff. And he was going. And by the way, he's no slouch. He's an international Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion, right? Period, point blank, right? Really good guy. And he looked at me and asked me, what kind of craziness? Is it because you're strong? Is it because you're, this? Is it because you're that? All these kind of, it's because you're handsome, because your hair is great, and really, I told him that I'm not afraid of a dog, right? Whose leash is too short to attack me, and I just have to keep you within the appropriate range, and then it looks real cool, right? But it's really a magic trick. It's range. Right? Which is really interesting because I think business and life is that way. It's all an illusion. So let's talk. All right. That being said, I didn't have very long to get this together, so forgive me if it's not super sexy presentation.
Yeah. I also want to acknowledge that I asked Mikal to do this with less than almost 24 hours ago, and he was So thank you.
No, it's my pleasure, man. Thank you. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Sweet. So when I came to have this chat, the conversation was centered around how brick-and-mortar business owners are able to take their business to the next level. And I don't profess to be this guru or a business coach or that kind of stuff. I do have clients who come to me and ask for assistance on how to build and grow their businesses. And I love to share with them because I love coaching and I love helping people. But what I like to do is share my thought process the same way I like to share my thought process with jiu-jitsu, with professional fighters, all that kind of good stuff. And then we will realize some cool steps that a particular person can take. So how to grow right or die wrong, right? Right now, brick and mortar businesses, you see Macy's and all these different other businesses that are, they're losing brick and mortar businesses like hotcakes, right? The market is changing and a lot of people aren't changing with it. Or some people are changing with it and it's freaking them out, right? What does this mean for brick and mortar businesses? How do we operate? And I think first we have to isolate what we were doing and identify where the market is going and then get ahead of that tide. All right? That being said, why are we here? We're all here to make some money, right? Everyone wants to make money. When I was I went through one rough patch when fighting when I separated my shoulder. And the doctor told me, Dr. Peter Garcia, in case he's watching, told me that I would never fight again. My shoulder was separated. It was a type 4 separation. You're done, son. It's over. And I remember looking at him and in disbelief, because this is my identity. My identity is gone, right? I went back to my uncle who came to the United States with $375. He couldn't speak English, no friends, no family, nothing. He jumped actually into the San Diego Bay. He's an American citizen now, by the way, right? And he had built some businesses in that time, more than 22 gas stations, check cashing, grocery stores, import, export, all that kind of good stuff. And my mom said, you need to go talk to your uncle. So I did. And he has this big bed, right? It's huge, right? And me and my cousins would go and watch movies with him. A grown adult man. It's not me when I'm a little kid, right? This is adult Mikal. And we're watching this movie. I think it was Gajni, if any of you guys watch Bollywood movies, right? And he asked me, because we were just talking about business, and we were doing another energy brokering project together. And he asked me, Beta means son, what do men want? Men humans. What do humans want? And we were just talking about money, but I knew he was a tricky guy, so it was a trick question, right? I was like, money is resources. Resources, uncle. That's what people want, right? And I was like, I thought I was real smart, right? I just circumnavigated his little trick question. He says, oh, that's interesting, right? What do men want if they have all the money in the world? Right? And at that place in my maturity, I started thinking about it, and it took me a minute, and I was like, well, I guess if a man works all that time, and he creates that money, I guess maybe he'd want his time back. I don't know. Is that right? He's like, that makes sense. Because we were just talking about how he had gone from running all of his gas stations and businesses and stuff like that to leasing them because he owned the land, right? I was like, oh, that makes sense. I just got you again. And then he asked me, he pre-paused it, which is real weird, right? And then played for a little while and then unpaused again. And then he looked at me and said, Mikal, if a man has all the money in the world and all the time in the world, then what does a man want? And that fucked up my head. Because I sat there and I thought, if I had I attempted everything I could to meditate. If I had all the money, what did that feel like? If I had all the money in the world, all the time in the world, what would that feel like? What would I want? And I had a really hard time with it, right? Because I was trying to figure it out. And I finally gave in and asked him, Uncle, what do you think a man wants if he has all the money and time in the world? And he says, for that tiny little insignificant speck of a life, in the grand scheme of things, to have had some meaning, and some people call that legacy. And I like to ask, why are we here? And show this really cool guy. That's me before my tan. I'm just kidding. That's not me at all. Throwing up the money, because yes, we want money, but money doesn't get us everything, right? For me, I don't want to make money that's not attached to something that doesn't create and or have meaning for me and for my community. Otherwise, it's just vanity and vexation to the spirit. So we're just going to cut through and say, what if you have found that thing, right? And we'll get back to it in a second. So who am I? As a young kid, just to give you a quick background on me. As a young kid, I don't know if you've seen that picture, military picture. All right, so as a young kid, I unfortunately checked off all the marks in the nerd checkbook, right? I was in the math club, the reading club. I played the flute in the band. Very proud of my my suspenders. All of the above. Scholastic Readers Club. And nobody told me there was a list. And but my dad was a Golden Gloves boxer, and my cousins were wrestlers, so they made sure that I got into that as well. It was a real big deal for them, for me to be able to protect myself, because we're moving around, and we lived in a pretty violent area in Florianopolis, Brazil. That being said, when I was 16 years old, I graduated high school, and they said I could either go play the flute at University of North Carolina, or I could join the military. I was 16, so I made the smartest choice I could possibly make. I joined the U.S. Army and didn't even read my contract. I said that thing 34 times. Didn't even read it. Was fortunate enough to go airborne and then work with some fantastic units. Worked with the 75th Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment with 1st Bat, and CTAF, Southern European Task Force, and all that kind of good stuff. And got to the opportunity to see real leaders and experience that, and take that with me as I exited the military. After that, fast forward, found jiu-jitsu. I loved it. I already knew how to wrestle. I took a guy down half my size and he strangled me near unconscious. I said, yeah, I want to learn that. And from there, because I don't like to fuck around, if I decide I want to do something, I said I want to become a world champion. So I did, period, right? All right, another part of who I am, this beautiful little girl. That's my little daughter, Luna. That's her serious face. As to give you some kind of context to what was happening when we started Aces Jiu Jitsu Club, I went through a situation where I had a relationship. The person had a mental break. I won't go too deep into it, but I wasn't sure if my daughter was going to live or die at some point. And I was able to get control of my life, get full custody, and 15x a business within the industry all at the same time, right? And the only way I was able to do that was through the use of systems, great coaching, great mentorship, and a little bit of luck, right? Luck, of course, being working my ass off, and then some cool opportunities come in, and I take advantage of them. All right, it's a whole new world. Some of these slides are going to be empty. Deal with it. All right, so the interesting thing about this in our industry, to give you some kind of framework, with the martial arts industry, the average, particularly jiu-jitsu, the average amount of new members a business brings in is about 6 members per month. They're paying about anywhere from, well, depending on how good the business is, anywhere from $99 or $80 a month to, all the way up to $300 and plus a month, right? Depending on what they're doing. Like I said, average is about 6 members a month. Average consistent monthly paying clients or members in about 24 months is about 50. We did 925 plus. And now we have well over 1,000 members and recently opened another location. In the next 90 days, we have another location that is going up already. We're already almost cash positive at our newest location that we opened in less than 30 days ago, right? It's a really interesting thing, because when I talk to people in my industry, I hear a lot of different issues that they have, right? Man, I feel like I'm doing everything. This marketing's not working. Google changed the algorithm. Facebook changed the algorithm. I feel like I'm spending money and it's not working. How do I got to make more clients, which is really interesting, because I then I talked to them about attrition, and I'm like, what's that? There's a lot of different factors that go into running. It's tough for a lot of people to be able to run and build a business. And for the people that want to look at those issues, I say you're looking at the wrong thing, right? There are models and companies out there. I mean, people, it's funny, today I work with clients who are, several of which are in the UFC. Anybody raise your hand if you heard of the UFC before? Right, perfect. So Dana White said a really sharp thing. He said, UFC for you guys should be a commercial, right? You get to show your stuff. This should not be like, this is my career. I mean, yeah, Dan Henderson made that into a career, but Dan Henderson, he's a freaking stud. But the the interesting thing about it, a lot of these guys, they also own gyms. You know, they have to transition at some point into something else, and a lot of them choose that. Hey, you know what? I'm really good at this fighting. I've shown people in the world that I'm one of the top in the world. I'm gonna open up my own business. Now, where are the people? Where are the people? You know, I'm a champ. I had one of my clients, whose name I won't say right now. He came on. He was really freaking out because we surpassed him in 6 months, and he'd been open for 5.5 years. Right? He's just been struggling. I've been in the UFC for several years. I don't get it. Why aren't these people coming in? And I told him 2 reasons. Right? Because, you know, don't they know that I'm a champion? Don't they know that I'm so awesome? I said, well, I mean, your first problem is that, man. They don't give a fuck about you. Nobody wants to see your shiny shit. Nobody cares about I'm in the UFC. They care about what you can do for them, and all of your marketing. It communicates, you know, it's kind of masturbatory. It's like me. And it's not really communicating what you can do for those people. And we went deeper, kind of diving into what was going on with that brick and mortar business. But for a lot of the people that I work with, the concern is, how do I build this business? And instead of building a business, we're going to talk about it in a second, I think it is more and more important in today's environment to focus on building communities. And because there's something different and more intrinsically whole in this environment that has to go with the concept of building communities and how communities, honestly, when done correctly, build themselves, right? All right, Aces Jiu Jitsu Club, humble beginnings. There was a picture that was supposed to be in here with the first place. I'll paint this picture for you. Moved into a fabric store, of all places, that had 10 rooms. The contractor told us it was going to take us 3 months to get the place open. I had a little girl in the way, and I just fought a fight like about a month ago. I was like, I need this done in 10 days. They said it can't be done. So I got some buddies, made some sandwiches, got some sledgehammers and sawzalls. Anybody know what that is? Sawzall, big saw. We cut a bunch of walls down. Had it done within a week, right? Now, I'll show you a video in just a moment. At this point now, most people, they bring in 6 new members a month. We do 40 to 60, right? New members a month, counting for attrition, which is not bad in our industry, right? And that's membership. That's not including pro shop sales. That's not including private sessions. That's not including a whole litany of other profit channels that we utilize. And we don't BS about it either. Some people try to pretend that it's not a business, you know, as they're building community. Like, we let people know just straight up what it is. This is, let's not BS about building a business. Yes, that's what we're doing, right? And the way we overcome that, of course, is giving back to the community in some really cool ways. And of course, Aces Jiu Jitsu Club in the future. Boom. There's Lance's story. Let's see how quickly this comes up. Show you guys a quick video. Here's Lance. Lance is cool as hell.
Hey everybody, I'm Lance. I'm Mindy. And we run and own and operate Select Jiu-Jitsu here in Waco, Texas. We've been working with martial arts business hacks for about the last 6 weeks now, and the classes are blowing up. I can't turn around without running into 5 or 6 more kids. We started our program with just 2 kids. Hi Tian, hi Megan. And in under 3 months of opening our doors, we're at 76 students and growing strong. In fact, we added 4 new students just this week, and it's only Thursday. So if you're ready to grow your business and have a huge, huge impact on your community, then you need to hop in on Martial Arts Business Hacks. Thanks, Mikal. See you soon.
All right, so the reason I show you guys that is not to sell martial arts business hacks. That was a quick project that I did because I wanted to test the market. So yeah, don't even ask about that thing, right? I noticed that we were building and scaling. I have this concept in my head about the formula for success, right? Which is to create a ratio, then improve conversions, and then scale. Scale it until it breaks, right? And then you fix conversions again, and you scale it until it breaks. No duh, right? That was not crazy awesome stuff. It's a pretty easy concept. So for us, I decided to do this project, right? Because I was like, oh my gosh, I was caught between these two concepts. I could either build my online business larger because there's, it's not brick and mortar. In brick and mortar, you're technically supposed to be restricted by the amount of people that you can put inside of that space in a particular period of time. Or you can go online and you can scale it as big as you want throughout all those people. I've noticed though, interestingly enough, that a lot of people with internet businesses don't have a way out, right? When it comes time for them to sell, which they don't fucking think of at the beginning, it's like, oh my gosh, it's time to sell, and there are no real assets. It's usually based and built on that one person and their awesomeness, which is totally cool. And then since there's no exit plan, so you have a really, really well-paid pair of golden handcuffs, right? Interestingly enough. So for me, I decided, you know what, we're gonna stick with the brick and mortar model, but when people ask us, they're like, oh, Mikal, you run this great martial arts company. And I train our staff to smile and nod when people say that, because really, that's not what we do. We don't run a martial arts company. We run a training company that runs like a SaaS company, right? Software as a service, for those who don't know what that means, right? A training company, to train jiu-jitsu, to train people. No, to train staff, right? And to train new partners, right? That was Lance Yeager right there. He owns Select Jiu-Jitsu in Waco, Texas. Lance is a fantastic person. So is his wife, so are all of his members. I knew him before he opened that location up. We did I did a model where I ran a program, and for $19.97, you got me for 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. 20 people came in. 20 people came into the program. I would say 3 or 4 people, 2 people asked for a refund. 3 or 4 more people showed up to half of the webinars. A couple of people actually showed up to every webinar, and each of those people tripled their businesses inside of our industry. Cool. What does that mean? Right? And the thing I pretty much talked to all of them about when people, what did you do with Lance to be able to triple his business in that time period? What did you do with Roger and Caden? What did you do with those guys, right? And I told them that you got to stop running your business like a gym and start running your business like a business, right? The reason I say SaaS is because when I start talking about this, a lot of people, when we start talking about concepts like Scrum and speed of implementation and market funnel optimization and channel concepts, people are like, oh, what is that? You run a gym. Why are you doing that? I'm like, motherfucker, it's business. It's all the same at its basest concept. Just like jiu-jitsu is all the same as its basest concept. I want to progress and transition to a better position until I break your arm. That's jiu-jitsu. That's different. All right? So anyway, 7 easy ways to scale like a software as a service company, right? Or online company inside of brick and mortar. One's change your mindset around what a brick and mortar business actually is. Break down those walls mentally. They only exist physically, and you should buy them. Build communities. Don't just try to, get that one-off business. I think in today's environment, if you have some kind of a business where people are buying something one time and you don't have them enrolled in some kind of a monthly program, I don't care if it's clothes, I don't care if it's shoes, I don't care if it's pencils, I don't care what it is, then you are messing up. It's 2017. You need to get with the program, right? And and I talk to people about this all the time, and it's really interesting the limitation people set on that, right? Who's going to have light bulbs on monthly auto ship every month, or who's going to do that? I don't know. Ask Amazon, right? Does that make sense to everybody? I hope I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are like, oh, this guy's crazy. Building community. If you can't duplicate it, don't do it, right? I have opportunities come all the time. People are like, hey, coach, I've got this great new idea for us to make some money. I've got this great, because I empower my staff and our team to be able to do those kind of things, right? Bring me ideas. In fact, on your quarterly review, it's going to tell me how many ideas you brought, how many we implemented, right? Those are the kind of KPIs I'm looking at to see if whether you deserve to be on a world-class team. This is what it is. If we can't duplicate it, we shouldn't do it, because for a lot of people, when I said this on a video, and a lot of people thought I was crazy. Why would you say this? We're opening four more clubs in Austin before the end of this year. And people started going nuts. First of all, why would you say that? Why would you show your cards? I mean, same thing when I was rolling with Luke. I can do all this cool stuff because you can't stop me. Because it's not based on what you're doing. That's not the way my fight works. It's based on me, right? And the purpose of opening these 4 locations is not just to make money. Yeah, making money is great, and we have to do it. That's part of our scalability. But really, it's to make a commercial. Because we're at the end of that year, we're already in the process of merging and buying out other underperforming businesses inside of our industry so that we may expand and then license our program to eventually franchise it and open more than 500 locations around the world in less than 10 years. Right? That's our mission, internal mission. I just shared it with you out loud, right? And the only way to be able to do that is using systems. And the question is, how quickly can we create the systems that help us get from here to there? Well, I've got this great thing. I know it doesn't duplicate, and I know that's the rule, but this thing's going to make us a little cha-ching, coach. So why don't we do this thing? Why don't we step off the train tracks and then waste my fucking time, waste our time, waste me in 5 years' time? Exponentially, what does that do to our ability to earn? And it's like, earn money? I'm telling you, here's money. No, not earn money. Earn systems. Earn systems. Earn duplicatable, replicatable systems. Because that's what drives revenue today in large growing businesses, I believe. If you disagree with me, well, we can talk about it. I'd love to talk about it. Next thing, grow your teams to grow your business. This is a really interesting concept, right? Because I talk to a lot of people, internet marketers. I have my business online. I talk to some people, mom and pop shop people, all this kind of stuff. And it's really interesting how many of them make this kind of misstep around investing in their teams and their people. Right, you have on one hand, more often than not, the online marketer who invests a lot in themselves. They go to the mastermind, they read the books, they do the stuff, and then they can't sell their business because their business is all based on that they empowered themselves only. They didn't empower anybody else. So they can't step back. I'm not going to buy that business. And the idea is centered around how much do you invest time and energy and money do you invest in training and teaching and empowering your teams. I tell each one of my staff, if in the next 12 months we have not created a position or empowered you to put more people underneath you for you to learn and then teach, well then, and they're like, well then we failed. No, then you're fired. You're fired because you're useless, because you can't be a leader, which is completely different metric. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, there's a really interesting concept that's being taught inside of charter schools these days, all right? And this concept of teaching to mastery versus teaching to proficiency, right? Which is a proficiency versus mastery scale. Proficiency going from 1 to 3 instead of A, B, C, D, F. Skip the letter. I don't know why they did that. Isn't that weird? Anybody else? All right. So anyway, they go from 1 to 4. 1 to 3, of course, is being proficiency. 1 to 3. I went from not understanding a concept to now I understand this concept. I can test for it. I understand it. Where the hell does 4 come from? 4 being mastery, where I can teach someone else how to do this concept. I can take information that perhaps I may have taken some part of it for granted, and I can intellectualize it as I communicate it to someone else. There's a difference between a champion. I know a lot of these guys, oh man, he's a great fighter. And when it comes to helping other people duplicate this process, just absolutely useless. That means your technique dies with you. That means anything you learned how to do dies with you. You're not going to scale it. You're not going to build beyond it. Well, I don't need to. Mikal, I just made a couple mil in this last fight. What is a couple $1 million? It's not that much money anymore. It used to be. It's not. And if you're a legacy-minded person, it really isn't that much, right? Content is king or queen. I like to be inclusive, right? We'll talk about that in a second as well. Mind your KPIs or key performance indicators. Everybody knows what KPIs are in this room? Okay, sweet. All right, and then gamify, talking about sharing the money. All right, changing mindset. Raise your hand if you've read this book. It's called EMyth. Anybody read this book in here? If you haven't read this book, read this book. Please write this down. I'll give you 5 seconds to write it down. Or type it into your book, into your phone, or something like that. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2. Some of you did it, and some of you didn't. That is life. I'll let you absorb that. All right. One of the greatest things, when somebody shared this book concept with me called the EMyth, I was like, the electronic myth. I completely had the wrong idea walking into it. I was like, electronic myth, which is not what it was about. It was entrepreneurial myth, interestingly enough. And it posed this interesting concept that was a game changer for me around the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. Now, we each of us have 3 people inside of us, and which is very similar to the way we grade fighters. Right? You have 3 kinds of fighters inside you. We'll talk about that another time. You have the technician. The technician is the trained monkey, right? I'm really good at this thing. I'm a black belt. Yeah, that means something, right? And sometimes it's funny, and sometimes in America they're like black belt, taekwondo. Interestingly enough, today we talk about jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, all that kind of things. And when you're talking about high level, you're talking about Olympic level athletes, right? The Olympics, right? We're talking about black belts who are commanding 7 figures for fights, right? Sometimes 8 figures for fights easily, right? That's when we're talking about black belts. That's what we're talking about. When we're talking about, and then that black belt decides, I'm a great technician. I love what I do. It feels good. I decide I want to make a business around it, right? And they're a great technician, and they realize, just like my friend, why isn't anybody coming in? I'm freaking awesome. Where are all the people? You're a great technician. Doesn't mean you're a great manager or an entrepreneur. Technician's focused on right now. What is this job that I do? Right? Technician's focused on right now. Manager's focused on the past. What data did we bring in? Which is really interesting because I work with a lot of, anybody work with engineers? Right? They're so fun. Data, right? Although you have some great engineers who are also entrepreneurially minded, right? Data, but no insights. I was recently at the AI Summit in San Francisco because I write for tech magazines and journals on the side because I freaking love it. And it was really, really interesting to listen to the CTO of Accenture talk about some of the trials and tribulations they're dealing with as they attempt to redefine AI versus ML, machine learning versus artificial intelligence. Because now we have the ability to procure all this data and have machines largely create some insights, but when it comes to big data, the insights that they create are, sometimes meaningless, sometimes meaningful, but it's hard to make sure it duplicates and replicates consistently. What does that mean, Mikal, as far as a manager? It means that having the data is really good. Managers are focused on what happened in the past, but they're not always great at making inferences about the future. And that's our mission as entrepreneurs, right? But it takes all 3 of those. It takes all 3 of those, I think, and believe strongly, to create a successful product and a successful project. And that's, for a lot of business owners, I'd say that the story in the book was really simple. There's a girl, she loved to make pies. She decided to open a pie shop, right? Nobody's coming into my pie shop. Well, the guy asked her, why does your pie shop suck? That's not how he said it, but that's how I think it, right? Why your pie shop suck? She's like, well, my pies are delicious. People just aren't coming in. I'm sweeping, and I'm mopping, and I'm wiping the tables down, and people aren't coming in. My pies are delicious. Why don't they know? Oh, that's really unfortunate. You need to do some marketing. Get people to do that. Oh, great. I started marketing. People are coming in. Great. That's great. How come you're not growing as fast as you want? Well, I'm focusing on mopping and this and that. And that's not what brings in the money. You wouldn't believe how often I deal with this with my staff. I deal with this with clients all the time. So what are you focusing on right now? Well, man, I'm really focusing on this new awesome whiz bang thing. It's great. I'm really focusing on making sure the mats are good, and I'm getting these new paintings up inside to like really build up the ambiance. Where's the motherfucking money, man? Where is the money? Oh yeah, but I gotta get these up. You really don't need much. I knocked down some walls, threw down $10,000 worth of mats that I got for free, right? And then I started signing people up. I didn't need any of that stuff. With a baby on my knee, by myself, right? Crying, spitting up on me, right? It's fun. So it's important to understand this concept of changing your mindset. I know it sounds, for sure, of course, that's change your mindset. But you have to change it every single day, and you constantly are being attacked by these new things that want you to focus on being a technician, focus on being a manager. When I'm here to say, stop focusing on that bullshit, have somebody else focus on it, right? I was supposed to teach a class tonight. I came out to speak to you guys because I'm in a position where I can have someone else teach a class, right? People came to see me. I just do a video. Hey guys, I'll see you another time. Cool, thanks, like, share, heart, right? Does that make sense? Next thing, build a community, all right? For a lot of people, so what is a community intrinsically? Somebody give me some elements of a community. What? Elements of a community. When you think of community, what do you think? What's the first thing that pops into your mind? Group of people.
Oh gosh.
Trust. What's that?
I agree with both of them.
Perfect. Safe answer.
If you support the community supports you.
Oh, reciprocity. I love that. Perfect. Sharing. I love that word. Similar mindset. Comfort. Commonality. Family. Shared interest. Family. Awesome. Some good vague words and some good specific words. All right. When I think of community, do you know what I think of? Engagement. That's what I think of. Right? All these other things they're offshoots of the root. When I was a kid, I don't know if anybody else had to grab roots when you were a kid? Weeds, right? Anybody else? I remember when I was a kid, lots of weeding, right? I would go in there. What's that?
Prime job, I feel like.
Yes.
Go get the weeds.
I thought my parents were selling them. That's how I was like, man, these guys want these weeds all the time. So I would go and I would get on the ground and I would take the weeds out. Right? What's that?
Must take them out with the roots.
You must take them out with the roots. I didn't know that at first. My parents just let me kind of stew in my own contumacy. Right? I'm just taking roots out, from the top, and they grew back so fast. And I had to do it again and again and again and again and again. And my mother, she bless her, right? She said, son, what's really interesting? The reason they grow back so quickly is because there's this thing underground that you're not seeing, right? And you have to attack that thing, right? And we went outside and we dug around this really big weed, right? And it had some deep roots. Deep. That was a life lesson that I learned right then. So for me, for me, I like to ask myself, what is the root of this thing, right? What is the root of this concept of community? These are all offshoots. These are flowers, right? Trust. That's important. The flowers are important. How do we, family, shared interests. But how do we measure that, right? How do we measure the success of that? And I believe that comes from engagement, right? Because we could feel like family, but if we don't talk, if we don't do something with it, it's potential energy. It's not. I can't pay you based on potential energy, right? Can I do that? It would be stupid if I did. I could. That being said, building a community has to do with building engagement. And because it's 2017, we have some awesome ways to make sure we build engagement. I think that today, one of the missteps that's happening as a species, we're getting better at this, right? Is we're forgetting what makes that community feel feelings, right? Does that make sense? People forget the things you said, but they won't forget the way you made them feel, right? And how do we use how do we use the new tools that we have to do this really primal thing we've been doing since we existed on this dirt patch we call a planet, right? A long time ago, everybody knows what the paleo mind. You know, it's funny. I would use paleo-ish diet to cut weight for fights, and I loved it. This concept, but it sparked a new concept in my head, which was what was important when we just lived in caves. What was important when we lived in caves? We were hunting down our food. There's not money. We have a different set of resources, different set of concepts and importances. Me sharing water with you, which is why, like, you've seen me, Dave. If I don't like somebody, I won't shake hands with them. I won't share water with you, right? Because for me, that's an important concept. If I do like you, I want to hug you. I want to share these. I want to be in touch with that primal concept that's been spurning us forward for so many eons, right? I want to be in touch with that concept of community that's been consistent throughout time. That's community. How do we engage and create that village? Not just this like, cost per click and cost per this and how many people I have in my list. Those are all great tools, but that's not what makes it work, right? You see people with huge lists, no fucking engagement, no money, right? You see people with all these, likes on their fan page, no clicks. Or sometimes they do have a shit ton of clicks, but they don't convert, no money. Well, why is this not working? I've got to figure out this. Dude, you're not making people feel things. And you're not allowing, and oftentimes I notice in these attempted communities, they're not allowing the people to help other people feel things. That's a community. That's not you being the dictator and the ringmaster, right? But you being the steward of a group of people. I think if we focus more on that, then we will start to get more out of the way and allow communities that see value in the group grow themselves. Really interesting. I just gave a quick tidbit to a bunch of the guys. I told in our Brick&Mor, I told them, I give away $500 a month to the member who refers the most new members. Right? Everybody thought that was crazy. If there's a tie, it carries on to the next month. Right? I think the most I've given away is $2,500. There's videos of me on YouTube making it rain. $2,500. Of course, I do it in fives, right? So it's going to look big, right? Make it rain, right? I love it. And it's really interesting because people are like, oh, that's a gimmick. People, they want $500. It's really interesting. I've noticed, because conversion means a lot to me. We're going to talk about KPIs in a minute, right? I've noticed when I say, who wants to win $500? People raise their hand. I want to win $500. They say, great, and I explain the deal. And then I leave it at that. Some people sign up, some people don't. Most don't. Ooh, that's cool, $500. It doesn't really motivate people. Fuck that, $500. I barely paid rent this month, but $500 doesn't mean shit to me. That happens. It's crazy, right? Because that's not what motivates those people. How's your life changed by training here? How has this community changed for you? Who is another friend? Man, I'm at work and this and that. Who do you know at work? In front of everybody. Who do you know that could benefit from? Oh man, you know what, Mike? I didn't just throw you on the spot, man. Who? My brother-in-law. Cool. Write that down. Who else got a brother-in-law? I've got a brother-in-law. Cool. Who else doesn't want their brother-in-law to die? Some hands go down, right? Cool. Write that down. Name, number. Write your name. All of a sudden, people start coming up, right? Because, well, for a few reasons, but one of which being because I allowed the community to testify to the community. I allowed the community to push the community, right? And there's other ways we do that in using leaders, right? Am I going over, anywhere near over? If you can't duplicate it, don't do it. And then automate it, right? I love automations. But they don't mean shit if you haven't figured out how that automation should work and what the human element of that automation is, right? Let's automate everything just because, numbers. I think, and we're going to come back to this concept of duplication, but one of the things we do at Aces Jiu Jitsu Club, if you ever have an idea or a new SOP, when I was in the military, I remember going E4 to E5, and I remember this Sergeant First Class Brown. I'll never forget this guy. He's fantastic leader. Really taught me a lot. I'll never forget him. I was going up in front of the board, right? You have to go in front of the board for PLDC at that time. Now it's WLC. Anyway, I was going up, and you go in front of these other NCOs, and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you have to study all this stuff, right? And you have to know, the answers to all these different questions, and you're going to be on the board and look good and, do your thing. I'm ready to be a leader. I'm motivated. I want to be a leader. And a lot of guys washed out of that program. Right? A lot of guys washed out of it. Any vets in here? You ever been to PLDC? What branch were you in? Marines? You guys go through a similar process.
I was reserves.
Reserves? What was your UEAS? That's what you guys call it, right? Exit active service? Oh, yeah. All right, so the interesting thing about that, I asked him, I was like, Sergeant, what do I, because I'm always looking for that edge, right? How do I get the edge inside of this board? I see all these guys fail and wash out. I want to, how did you do it? He's like, honestly, I see all these people studying Mikal. I didn't call me Mikal, he'd call me Abdullah, because that's how you, right? Or Abdullah, because he couldn't pronounce my name. Abdullah, all these guys are studying so hard, and they don't know what questions they're going to get asked. It's kind of like, a guessing game. Well, so I'm going to study all this information, and a bunch of that stuff is not going to get asked. So what happens is a lot of times people end up studying for things that aren't going to get asked, and they won't study for things that are going to get asked at the board. So here's what I think you need to do. I'm going to tell you, because I'm so cool, what you should do. Instead of knowing the exact information, just know where to find it. So what the fuck does that mean? All right? He's like, dude, this is the military. We have a manual for everything. You don't need to know the answer to be a great leader. You just need to know where to find that information. And then, and as long as other leaders know you know where to find it, they know you can grasp it, and then inspiring others and leading others becomes a whole nother thing. All right? So SOPs means standard operating procedures. We had FMs, ARs, all the field manuals, Army regulations. To this day, I don't forget. I remember they asked, so where does this ribbon need to be in relation to your collar? Like a 1/4 inch or blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know, but I do know that you can find that in AR 670-1. That's a real Army regulation on your clothes and attire, and I still remember it to this day, right? AR 670-1. You don't have to know the exact information. You just need to know where to find it, right? Which is really, really interesting, because as we build teams and build leaders, it's important that we empower them to be able to do the same thing. So at Aces Jiu Jitsu Club, whenever you have a new SOP that you're building, a new standard operating procedure everyone is empowered to be able to do this, by the way, and submit SOPs for review. And we review these SOPs, and the ones that we like we keep, and the ones that we don't, we make adjustments to, or we put them on the side. One of our front desk girls, success liaisons, can come up with an SOP, right, for us to review. Hey, this is a new thing. In fact, it's a part of your responsibility to do it. Hey, we've never done this before, this new project we're doing. Great. Make sure after you have it completed, you Slack me the Google Doc with the SOP inside of it in red letter. That means it hasn't been reviewed yet. It needs to get reviewed. Cool. Put that on a Trello card. See you later. Right? Done. And as we do that, what are we building?
Manual.
A fucking manual. We're building a system that other people can follow behind. And they can more easily and more quickly go from new hire and onboard to proficient, functioning teammate. Does that make sense? And interestingly enough, by the way, some of the SOPs that I wrote have been improved upon. And I love that, because my ego is not in the thing, my ego is in the success. Does that make sense? And if we can't duplicate it, then we're losing time that we could otherwise be creating duplicatable systems to feed more people into our funnel. More people to sell stuff to. No! More people to be on our team so that we have a stronger structure, because that is what attracts more people. Does that make sense? I was teaching a class recently, And I had a guy underneath me. I was teaching about controlling another living, breathing, fighting human being underneath you, right? And it was really interesting because he's fighting like mad. He's like, I can't move. Why can't I move? And I wasn't laying on him. I literally had a couple of hands in a couple of key places. And then he moved so hard and so athletically that he flung himself into a bad spot, right? And it was really rough for him. And it was an important concept that I wanted to share with him at that moment, which is high-level fighters don't just make things happen. They have integrity in their position enough that good things are attracted to them. My posture is tight, and so tight and perfect to that point that when you fling and flail, you end up throwing yourself into an advantageous position for me. And then I grab, and then he taps. And he's like, what did you do? I said, very little, actually. I did very little. I just made sure that I had integrity. And not just like telling the truth integrity, like that wall has integrity. Have that kind of integrity. And what is those kind of larger businesses built on? They're built on replicatable, duplicatable systems that people can plug into. If you have a sales funnel, and this is one of my toughest things to work on with new and intermediate level salespeople, is they always have some kind of new special fucking snowflake, right? I got a special snowflake of a sale, and you're gonna fucking love it. But we have to do some different things to get this person, and we got to do. I was like, fuck that, man. Why are we doing anything different? They should fit into our system. If they don't, then they've elected to not be a part of our business. But we have to get everybody. No, we don't. We just need to attract the people that we attract. We have to figure out who our avatar is and attract those people. But what about those guys? Yeah, and then I step out of my position and miss all these other people that I had to work so hard to get this maybe. Or just focus on being, that's like being the lighthouse versus the tugboat, right? The tugboat can only pull so many ships, right? I think number's 3. They can pull like 3 ships. Work fucking hard to do it. Lighthouse can attract thousands, just standing in one spot, being that light. I think it's really important, not just people think about that in terms of clients, but they don't think about that in terms of the business that you want to be in terms of systems and structure. Growing your team. I would say a lot, when I talk to a lot of brick-and-mortar business owners, they don't think in terms of growing their team, right? And because of that, they don't increase their denominator, right, versus numerator, right? I like math, okay, right? And things they don't grow that, they don't grow their opportunity to expand. Because the people you have right now, I challenge you to consider how many clients each of your team members can handle and each of your systems can handle. How many can they handle effectively and efficiently? Then you need to make sure they're living up to those KPIs, and then you need to hire more people. And then you need to fill those spots in with more clients, and then you need to hire more people. And then you fill those in. Does that make sense? That's how I think around empowering teams. I noticed that our business grew and grew more quickly and effectively when I started training teams training them up to mastery versus just proficiency. Can you build an SOP? If you can't, you're useless to me, right? We have a book club, by the way. I read 4 books a month. I'm working on getting it up to 5. Somebody asked me, holy shit, it takes a whole lot of discipline for you to do that, to read 4 books a month. How do you do that, Mikal? Right, so that's great. I'm in 4 book clubs, right? Well, how did you find those 4 book clubs? I made them. I said our overarching team, everyone will read a book. Somebody will get surprise asked a question at our end of week meeting about where we are in that book. And you better have a fucking badass answer. Not a fucking Cliff Notes answer. Not a Wikipedia answer. A fucking badass answer on how we can implement the stuff we learned from that book into this meeting. Right? We have that for our overarching team, for marketing, for leadership. And then, of course, I have another one that I read that usually, more often than not, has to do more with ethics and spirituality. Like Marcus Aurelius, that kind of stuff. Yes?
Will this technique still work if you can't armbar your employees?
If you can't armbar your employee? Yes. Because you can armbar them. You totally can. It's called I'll replace you. Right? I believe, same thing, what I say about submissions, I don't chase them, I replace them. Right? Same thing I say about staff. I won't chase you, but I'll let you know I'm getting to a place where I have to, and the next thing you know, you're training somebody else. And the next thing you know, you're not there. Right? Because you didn't grow with me. Same thing I told we're getting a little personal. Same thing I told my fucking ex-wife, even. I tell everybody the same thing. I will grow beyond you in a fucking heartbeat, because I'm the goose that lays the golden egg. Everything I do in my life miraculously fucking works out for me. It's better for you if you cling to me. It just is what it is. So one of the largest killers, I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a therapist, one of the greatest killers of relationships, and I think they're all the same, friendship, romantic, business, they're all the same at its core, at its root, is growing apart. And I would love for us to not grow apart. And I'm growing and growing fast. And this is the direction that I'm growing in. Here is a book. Grow with me. Right? Or we will grow apart. And you will be the loser in that situation because I am a winner. Right? It just is what it is. And I'm building something bigger than me. Does that make sense? So that's why I think it's important to grow teams. A sharp man once told me, you will never, ever, ever, ever be as great a man as you think you can be. And then he let it hang. I was like, motherfucker, challenge, right? Unless you partner with the right other people. I challenge you to consider that. And then I challenge you to put some KPIs behind how many people you are partnering with that can take you to the next level. And then there's the reality. I challenge you to consider the KPIs of the people that you do work with right now and whether or not they're not fulfilling. I was just having a conversation with one of my leads earlier about this. We collected this much delinquencies. Good. That means absolutely jack shit to me. Well, why? It's a teaching moment. Great question. It means nothing to me because it means nothing because it's not in reference to something else. I collected $1,000. Oh, shit. What the fuck does that mean? Out of $1,000. That's 100%. That's great. I collected $1,000. What the fuck does that mean? Out of $14,000. We have an issue. Right? That being said, in what way can I help you grow so that you can continue to do what you have to do to help this team grow? Otherwise it won't grow. Content is king or queen. In today's environment, especially in brick-and-mortar businesses, we have to find new ways to bring people in. Billboards don't work. This old concept of paying per so many thousand impressions. I know I should be probably speaking to the choir here, right? The buying the little ad right there. I have people come to me and ask me to, be in my little newspaper, or my other little print thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, because print's dead, because it goes away. All right, next month another one comes out, somebody throws it away. Who wants to do that stuff? That's crazy. What helps create engagement around communities is not just making statements, but asking questions. I have found. Asking questions and allowing the community, being okay with allowing the community to come to its own conclusions. Right? And then after they come to those conclusions, and they're allowing them to be a part of the conversation. And when they are part of the conversation, that E word happens. Engagement. Right? And then they can select which part of your funnel they want to go into. And they just told you. They let you know. I'm a sucker for right hooks. Thank you. That's great. I'm here for personal empowerment. Great, I'm here for self-defense. I want to be a professional fighter. How do you find that stuff out? Right? Organically. and have this large group of people to bring in. And so that's why one of my favorite rules, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. Anybody know that rule? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 video. What's the rule?
Oh, maybe not. Different rule.
Okay.
Oh, the black box thingy?
I never heard of that called that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
5. I never heard of it that way. Every week you need to be pumping out blog. I believe we do 5 different blog posts a week. Do I write them all? No. Last week, did I write any of them? No, I haven't written a blog post in a while, actually, right? But they do go out and they do create engagement and they do bring people in. How do I get those blog posts out? I have a fantastic content manager that assists with our program. And honestly, a lot of those are either written by a ghostwriter, just to be real, right? You can get those on, I guess, Odesk, they call them right now, or Upwork, or, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different places you can get them, whatever have you, right? I think I like Upwork, though, and when they do it. And also curated content, right? Existing content that's out right now that you just have to create enough, a blurb about, and you can link back into that, right? That's really huge, and I feel like a lot of people, hey, man, you need to write more blog posts. Yeah, that takes a lot of my time. I'm so busy mopping the floor and wiping the tables, right? And I'm like, dude, I don't have time to write all that stuff. You know, I'm not great at writing anyway. I said, no worries, man. Have someone else write it. Well, fuck, I don't have the money to have these people write all this stuff for me. Just create some curated content. You know? Take a screenshot of a couple Twitter tweets. Use RSS feed and start attracting different blog posts other people are writing with enough link juice. Curate them, reposition them inside of your own blog, put a few bucks behind it inside of to retarget the people inside of your fan page. This is just real quick, easy, dirty stuff, right? Boom, people start coming on to your website, hit the pixel, you can retarget those people. Also, do you want to do my thing on the side? Pop up. Link them inside. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe how many people interact inside of those links, right? Versus ads, versus direct ads, right? Because it feels like a conversation. So anyway, that's just one tidbit around that concept of content is king. Content is king, why? What is the root? Because it allows for people to have a conversation. And today, in this environment, I think that's what is important. And brick and mortars, if they're not able to do that, create a conversation, you're going to get left behind because most people, and I would love to answer your question, most people today are interacting more often than not on the internet, and on that, more often than not on their mobile phones. And they're making purchasing decisions based off of that, not off of the A-frame in front of your door, not off of the billboard that they saw, not off of the magazine that they read, right? But off of what was easiest and most convenient at the moment. If I can't click and set something up, I'm moving on. I got other shit to do, man. Right? And we have to create that conversion path so that it's easy and convenient for people to go from, I'm interested, to, I'm physically touching you. Right? And how do we get the kinks out of that? That needs to be a conversation that we have. And the best way I've found to get those people in that is real native content. Yes?
I'm sorry, are you going to go through 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just real quickly with the 4, 3, 2, 1?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting that we do this. I have it on I naturally do it right now. So it's 5 blog posts. 5 blog posts, 4 videos, 3 emails, 2 review testimonial videos with another person, right? And then 1 written, large sales email to our prospecting list, right?
A week.
1.
Per week.
What was it? 2?
Per week.
2 review testimonial videos with another person. With other people. Like you just showed earlier with Lance. And 1 email to your
To prospect. A big email to our prospecting list. And when you send that
define what, in your perspective, is a prospecting list.
So if you have an email list and you haven't segmented it, I think you should. The way I prefer to segment our lists and our projects are prospects, current members, and past members, right? Past members can be turned back into members, right? They're a little harder. You have to do some kind of different exit surveys and things like that and figure out why. Existing members, if you have a tight conversion path, will make referrals online. Oh man, here's my friend. I'll share it with them, right? Or I'll type in their number. Or as long as the conversion path is tight. One technique, I'm just gonna throw it out there, that we worked and that we have used and continue to use that works really well is letting prospects know that we will give them their service for free if they refer so many more people. So and who would your referrals be? And then we bring them all in, not at the same time, right? They use Calendly to set their own links, and each person makes their own decision, and they can win that $500, or get money off of their pro shop and things like that. Somebody raise their hand. Yes.
Well, actually, I'll ask at the end of because I'm just curious more about your business stuff.
Okay.
Like how you run your business, but I'll ask at the end.
Okay. I mean,
Question on
yes.
tactics, not to get too bogged down, but on the videos, what's the duration of time and what's your typical topic for a week?
Oh man, that's a good question. I like to keep the majority of my videos between 30 seconds and 60 seconds long, because that's the attention span for most people. If it's longer, sometimes I'll make a longer video, but then I'll just cut the first 30 seconds, and then I'll put a link inside of the attached to the video, right? And then you can click the link to get more information, right? And it'll take you to a landing page, right? And then you can see the full video. What's that?
Can we see one of them?
Guys, check, make sure you're on the internet. Capital Factories Internet, which is offer.1. If you don't pay attention to it.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I can. Actually, let me get through this one. I'm going to show you some, and I'll take questions in a second so we don't
Sure.
derail too much. 'Cause I know the one I want to show too. Excellent. Come on, buddy. All right, there you go. Mind your KPIs. KPIs being key performance indicators, right? Math. We'll talk about the video in a couple seconds. I have a really a cool self-defense video set that I'm going to show in a second. I think you guys might like. So KPIs. I love dashboards. I think that's really important for our team to work effectively. It's really important that everybody's on the same page and everybody has transparent data and information. In fact, since it's easier to show, I'll show you guys a template. Oh, that's ours. It's a different dashboard. Here's our template of a scalable dashboard that we use. We have several dashboards that feed into each other in different ways. Here's a breakdown. We have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, all that kind of stuff. Every week has 5 weeks, right? It breaks down how many coaches came in, how much money came in, all that kind of stuff. And of course, our end of day down here, that our success liaisons imprint every day. Our end of week, right, which breaks down our gap to goal, which I think is a great and very important concept. And if we looked at one of our sample ones, it's just a sample one, some numbers in it, right? Breaks down, I think, something that's really important for a lot of people, which is, are those channels working or not? Right? This is one of ours in our sandbox, so excuse me if it has some broken things in it. Sandbox being where we tinker and try to improve things. I would say inside when we created key performance indicators that were transparent for everybody was able to sit down and create a plan of action together. Because now, let's say in this situation, we're able to see we got VIPs, which are people that were talked to person, referrals, in this one, 10 set, 4 given, 2 canceled, 2 rescheduled, 3 closed. God bless you. That's like a 40% show rate, 75% close rate. We were able to make decisions whether or not we should put more money into those specific channels, And I noticed that a lot of people haven't built up these kind of dashboards. And because it's not in their face, it's hard to figure out where things are broken, where things need to be fixed, where I can improve the conversion path, and whether or not there's an actual ROI on those things. And we need to move money up or down, looking at the funnel in largesse, right? Which I think is a really important concept. It's also important. I've turned programs off before because, you know, they were making money, but they weren't netting money, right? A sharp man once told me it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep, right? And I've had programs that were making us, you know, $10K a month, but it was netting like $500, right? $1,000, and it's like, that's ridiculous. Let's cut that out, right? So anyway, this is a concept I think is really important. Here's another dashboard. This is a success dashboard. This is used by our success liaisons. Success liaisons are the people want to call them receptionists, but there's so much. These wonderful ladies are so much more than just receptionists. We used to call them athlete liaisons until we did a better job of distilling really what it is that they do, which is help our community succeed at the goals that they set. And then we put some KPIs behind it. What does that success look like? It looks like delinquencies taken care of. It looks like renewals. It looks like online reviews created. It looks like video testimonials and video reviews. All right. It looks like introductory sessions set. It looks like it's new members from their activity, not just from our acquisition team or sales team activity. Right? These are important things for us to look at inside of these dashboards. So we have a litany of different dashboards that aggregate into a larger dashboard, so we can have a full picture of our business, and then we can look at it together. And think about this. I can look at it by myself, right? And I can draw from my insights and my perspective, or I can have the whole team come in and everyone look at it from a different perspective, right? And I have a young lady on our team who looks at things from a different perspective, right? She was like, hey, you know what? We haven't attracted as many women this month. And do you think if we adjusted our ads from this perspective that perhaps that might increase conversions? Oh, fuck, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you noticed that. You wouldn't have noticed that if we hadn't had a dashboard that we could all look at. Great. I'm a man. What would you like to see? What would attract you? Oh, that whole awesome progressive conversation happened because we had a transparent system where she was empowered to be able to see an issue from her worldview and perspective and then really contribute back into the team, right? And we wouldn't be able to do that if we weren't all on the same page, which is why I believe in largely full transparency. And if everyone on our team can see exactly how much money we made and where it came from at any given moment, right? And part of your job is you looking through the numbers, not just me, and figuring out how you can help out. Another part of your job is distilling KPIs. And I think that's the entrepreneur's job largely as well. But routinely going back and asking staff, what do you think are important KPIs that we're missing? It's really interesting because people invariably will tell you some awesome stuff. And they're the boots on the ground, right? They'll tell you, coach, we're not measuring. We talk about content all the time, coach, but we're not measuring how many videos I make. And I think I make more videos than Megan. I fucking think I do, but I don't know. Maybe we should look at that because I want to know if I'm making more than Megan. All right, cool. That's great. We should definitely count more video reviews. Then we can start counting other things. That kind of grows into this awesome new content and conversion path. Mind your KPIs. Boom. And then that talks in about gamify and share the money. Gamify and share the money. What does that mean? I love contests. I love games. I love to play. I love to be happy, and I'm most happy when I'm playing, right? And for me, I love to play with other people, right? So and compete. Why do you think I fought for so many years and did all these other, so for me, looking at these KPIs and deriving insights and then saying, we have a prize for the person who does X. I've given away, and it's not always just money. I've given away mani-pedis, right? Or sometimes a mani, sometimes a pedi, right? Sometimes both. $100 cash. People like that. They don't always like it as much as you think they do, right? I've given away a patch. I've given away a T-shirt. Oh fuck, people love T-shirts, right? Like you know what? The right people on your team, they want to know they're doing their job well, and they want to know that they're valued and that their insignificant speck of a life on an insignificant speck of a planet matters to somebody. And this is a great way to be able to help them know if they're meeting the muster. You know what's also very interesting? I tell people that I most likely will never fire you.
Most likely.
Most likely. I most likely will never fire you. Your numbers will. Your numbers will fire you. Your numbers are mean. They're cold. They're hard. They don't give a fuck about you. Right? Your numbers will fire you. It's not subjective. Right? I'm also not necessarily the one in charge of giving you a raise. Your numbers will. Which is why we gamify our programs and we decided to share the money. Most people in our industry, it's a one-man show, and they don't really grow a staff beyond that. And when they do grow a staff, they pay them hourly only, which can be a death trap, right? And it's not motivate people as much, which is why we attach commissions to our program. In fact, in order to get onto our acquisitions team or sales team, you have to make the cut. You have to close a certain number of people before you can even get the job. You have to prove to me. If you want to go play for the Vikings, right? You can't say, hey, hire me on, right? You have to prove it up first. You have to audition, do some real stuff, bring me some real accolades. Then we can get you on the team. And then you have to perform and stay on the team, which means you can get cut at any time because of your numbers, right? So in order to get on our team, our acquisitions team, we train you. That's our investment in your time. And then you have to bring us results by way of so many new members, right? Once you have done that, you can qualify for a salary. Once you have qualified for your salary, you have this quota to maintain your salary. Life happens. You miss your quota 1 month. I understand. You miss your quota 2 months. You lost your salary. Right? Great. I didn't do that to you, though. You did that to you. You're a big boy or big girl. You're in charge of your own life. Right? And because we've created a system where the power is on you, strong people elect to stay by way of their work, and weak people elect to leave by way of their work. And the business stays healthy. I don't know about you guys, but one of the largest investments you make is in payroll. And that needs to be something that we really, really look at, because it eats into your net, which is the real fucking number that's important. We did 9 figures! How much money did you make? 9 figures! What was your net? I want to fucking talk about it. Right? Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of that goes into payroll. So I think it's an important concept thing for us to focus on. Boom. That's me. Thank you very much. If you'd like to chat me up further about any of these kind of concepts, my email is Mikal@AcesJiuJitsuClub.com. My name is Mikal Abdullah. You can find me at CerebralBJJ on Instagram. Boom. Get rid of that asterisk. Boom. Or you can find me on Facebook. That's where I have most of my engagement, because I'm mid-30s. Yes.
Hey, so you talked about the community, like, kind of educating each other and kind of giving back to each other, like
Yes.
creating engagement organically there. Does that all happen on your Facebook page or within your site? Like, what platform do you let that live on? Do you trust Facebook to like own your community at that level?
So I don't trust anybody. So to that point, I've created a bunch of redundancies where people are able to communicate with our help desk, and they're able to see each other's communication inside of our private buddies groups that are segmented based on whichever product or program they're a part of, and that is on Facebook. Okay. Absolutely. Because we are brick and mortar, we're physically also able to make that same kind of conversation happen inside of the actual brick and mortar location, right? And we've created systems so that, like ambassadors programs and things like that, where existing members help onboard new members, and we help them out, and we take care of them for that as well. Existing members can elect to become coaches, whom we pay, by the way, because they love it so much, and they have information they want to share, and they want to be a part of that legacy. There's also our website, of course, as well, where we have a bunch of surveys and comment boards and stuff like that, where people all also have information that lives.
I know the niche they're in, which is the keto lifestyle.
Yes.
And so I know who will have the answer specifically for you will be Steve Cam from Nerd Fitness. I think he's got something like 100,000 paid subscribers that are rabid.
I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him speak.
I think I was talking with Kurt Molly about that guy. Nerd Fitness.
It's basically the intersection of where people that are nerds, that are like literally comic book nerds or fantasy or sci-fi nerds, that they tend to be more mathematical and logical.
Mhm.
Instead of just do this diet because
My
it's
people.
yeah,
Absolutely.
So, and they have all kinds of gamification and whatnot. I mean, yeah. So that'd be one for you to join so that you can see and track the entire funnel, like look at it meta as you're engaging in it.
Yes.
I think what makes you stand out the most in terms of people who deal with these concepts is like your philosophy on control, and where do you draw the line between controlling your team and your partners and stuff like that. Yeah.
Which form of control? So when you say control, what are you thinking? The tightness of control or the letting go of control? Because it's both.
The tightness of control.
Tightness of control. So, I think it's important. So when I teach jiu-jitsu, it's important for us to have a save point, right? So that if things go crazy that I didn't account for, I can always pull back to a safe place, right? And where hey, I may have lost a little progress, but I didn't lose all my progress, right? I think that's an important thing to look at whenever we're building systems. I remember as we built the systems, I woke up in a sweat one night and thought, oh shit, what if somebody did X, Y, or Z? How quickly could I kick them out of the system and change all the pertinent credentials and all that kind of stuff that I needed to change? Which I very shortly thereafter, I created an SOP for myself. By the way, that moment, left my bedroom, went into my office, typed up an SOP, right? Thought about it for a minute, scanned it again, added a couple more things, right? And then sent it off to a friend to look at. Very shortly thereafter, I had what would potentially be devastating for a lot of people. There was a teammate who had made some missteps and didn't want to get caught for it, right? So they ended up, doing something unscrupulous, trying to delete a whole bunch of information and stuff like that, yeah. But because I had built that SOP in that cold sweat, I was able to kick them, and I timed myself, and it was in the SOP to start the timer, right? I timed myself, and I got him out of the system, and because of the redundancy of it, he didn't realize that we were saving everything live, right? It took me 14 minutes, right? So I was able to pull back, right, and get that control. I say that's one part of it. I would say another part of that control is taking the leadership position. You know, I do claim responsibility for the success or failure of my, yes.
I was thinking more from the perspective of how ruthless you are.
Oh, ruthless.
Yeah.
He can tell, it's on my face.
Because, I mean, you gotta be, you know, not emotional in some areas, you know what I mean? To, like, the results have to come first.
Here's the way I see what a lot of people call ruthlessness or and emotion. So I believe in being extremely dispassionate around creating a plan. It's like a passion sandwich, right? Passionately want this thing. Yeah! Here's the game plan on how we're going to do it. Let me check it again. Let me check it again. Someone else look at it. Let me check it again. Passion back on! Now we implement, right? So for me, that's kind of how I segment my passion in performance. When it comes to, like, I just be real, people getting in my way. I mean, fucking bury you, man. Nobody gets in my way. Like
I totally relate to that.
What's that?
I totally relate to that.
You know, it's really, I feel like people are scared to say it. You know?
Lots of people are.
What if people think I'm ruthless, right? Or
I'll crush you if you get in my way.
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, when my, you know, daughter's mother went through some issues, and I found myself a full-time single dad. I had fight companies come to me and people come to me and say, hey, leave this enterprise and we will pay you. I had one guy who was like, dude, you just started this business, close it down, I'll give you $10K a month to come coach over here, plus we'll take care of you, we'll give you a stipend. You're a dad, you're doing it on your own, let us help you. All right? Oh, you're gonna help me, son of a bitch. You're not gonna help me. You're gonna try to you're gonna feed off of me. Right? I won't, and I said no for a couple of reasons. Reason one is that I would never want to model to my daughter that having a child means you have to say no to your dreams. I think a lot of people think that. I think they're fucking stupid. It's wrong and weak. You know? I have a kid, now I have to live in a white picket fence and I have 2.1 dogs and stuff like that. You don't have to. I would never, and I'll get that in a second, I would never want to model that to her and potentially stifle her dreams. And thing number two, I would never let my daughter get in my way. Oh, fuck, did he say that? Yes, I said that. I wouldn't let my ex get in my way. I wouldn't let my future wife get in my way. I wouldn't let my daughter. I wouldn't let my father. I wouldn't let anybody get in my way. Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for what I did in this gap of time between birth and death. I'm responsible for that. And that's how many fucks I give about making the most out of the time that I have available. Right? And if you get, I mean, and honestly, on a side note, to look at it a little differently, most people who you think are trying to get in your way are just trying to do them. They might not even be fucking thinking about you. But they might be in the way, you know? So you either move them, it's like jiu-jitsu. You either move them or you move you. And then jump back on your happy little path. Right? That's why I created this kind of system where I don't have to fire you. You just fired yourself. Right? And because you created those cool SOPs, you made it easier for the next person. Yes. I hope does that answer your question, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard other people talking about like building community to help build your business. I really like the way you framed it. I'm guessing that when you set up your brick and mortar, and that your students right there were your initial community, but then you took it online as well. So what was it? Was it Facebook or YouTube or what were the mechanisms that you used to build that online community?
The online component?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Largely Facebook and email and cross promoting with like co-regs, and cross promoting with other people.
But that's
Co-regging, like so when somebody is registering for someone else's video, all right, I will work a deal with them. So, hey, I know you liked my video. Thanks for buying my stuff. And if you like my stuff, you're gonna like Coach Mikal. And then Coach Mikal, hey guys, I'm Coach Mikal. I won X, Y, and Z. I teach these kind of people. Look, testimonials. I do some real cool stuff. Right now, I'm gonna give you a cool video. Just click this button, right? And you can elect to learn some cool stuff. Want to learn some cool stuff? Yes. And another famous person pops out. Hey, I think Coach Mikal's cool, right? Cool. You'll see some techniques from us. Click the button. Click it, click it, click it now. This one, all right? And then people start clicking. Facebook's real cool, I think, in a lot of ways. It doesn't always convert the way you want, and then they change their algorithm, right? But it does get you some juice. I think the most juice comes from that. And taking that online would become from remarketing and retargeting rather than just doing direct to buy my stuff. Now,
What did you call it?
co-registration,
Registration.
co-reg. I would say that's a huge thing, right? Thank you. Hopefully that helps. I honestly believe that cross promoting with other businesses where there's synergy is one of the best things that you can do, as long as they have built a community, right? That's the really important thing. Like I will link into we recently linked into a restaurants community who was able to send 25,000 emails for us, right? Which is really cool. I love that. That really works out. You guys have a great attachment to your community. And now they're helping us feed thousands. Like last year, we fed thousands of homeless people here in Austin, right at the Arch, right over there, because it's cheap as hell to feed 100 people, believe it or not, right? And we're able to build and do those kind of things by partnering with other people, by partnering with other teams.
What do they receive in return from you? So you.
We send for them.
Okay.
They send for us, we send for them. So we'll both make a video, for each of our different communities. I'll tell them, here's the link. They'll tell me, here's the link that we want for the thing that we want to send. So these are the kind of nice things we want you to say about us. I'll say, cool, I believe those things, all right? And then we'll send it out.
Then you just cross promote.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And then we both make money. We both have some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, that's.
Yeah, for sure.
I dig it.
Did you even try to go into other jiu-jitsu communities and not poach their members, but play in their community to get your name out, or not? You just
No.
did your own thing.
No, I'm not after those people. And this is one of the things that and a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community think that that's the way to do it. I'm going to open up down the street from this guy. I'm going to take his students, which is, I mean, I get it, man. Live by the sword, die by the sword. It is what it is. But I think that that's a small opportunity, the amount of people that know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, let alone Aces Jiu-Jitsu Club.com, right? The amount of people who don't know what Jiu-Jitsu is a larger opportunity. So instead of going after people who know what Jiu-Jitsu is, we have more gone after people who want a certain subset. I want to feel more. I want to have more confidence. I want to have a better idea of how to make decisions. I want to be more comfortable in my own skin. I want to find new friends. I mean, there's a whole lot more people that want to do those things, right, than people that know what jiu-jitsu are, right? Why would I? And those people come with baggage anyway. No offense to my jiu-jitsu people, right? But they come with baggage coming from their previous community, You know what my ex did? I don't give a fuck what your ex did, right? I care about what we're doing right now, because you either fit in my funnel or you don't fit in my funnel. Why don't you care? Anybody ever had one of those relationship situations? Why don't you care? Right? Chase me. Yeah, fight me back. No, I'm focusing on my avatar. Go over there, do your thing. Right? Anyway, so that's my take on trying to get into other communities and poach their people. The only people I'm going to poach are staff members. That's it. And and I think it's really interesting that on a side note, the concept of ruthlessness really has this this negative connotation, and I don't like I don't even think of it as, I used to think of it as ruthless. Now I just think of it as being on my path, right? Do you call a surgeon ruthless for cutting out a tumor, right? Or a tumor he didn't see previously? Oh, that shouldn't be there. Cut that out, right? You don't call him ruthless, right? I honestly, realistically, don't wish you ill will. If I break your arm, I don't really wish you ill will. Your elbow's just in the way, right? So I don't really I hate anger. I try to stay away from that, right? It's hard to be, you ever see a surgeon? He's like, fucking, I'm raging, we're pumped, right? And then he like pulls out a fucking scalpel. Let's fucking do this! Right? No, that would be ridiculous. Nurses would be like, oh shit, stop that guy. He is on drugs. Right? So I do my best to look at it dispassionately, right? And it's like, oh, you're in the way. Oh, that's unfortunate. You're trying to hurt me. No, I'm just trying to progress. We can do it together, or I'll go over you, right? Or if it's easier, I'll go around you. But I'm going to do whatever, what I think the most efficient thing is, right? And if, unfortunately, a person, a concept, an SOP is in the way, I am in the way, that happens, right? One of the questions I ask my team all the time is, in what way am I being the bottleneck for you? And you have to get me the fuck out of your way then, and I will allow it, right? Fuck, let me know. Go over me. Like, hey, coach, I love you, I appreciate you, right? But you're holding up my info. I need that data. You did it 2 times. You are right. Let's create an SOP where we get me out of this, where I'm not even in this, right? And then we move. And that's not them being ruthless, right? I would hit them in the mouth, right? That's about, them focusing on the thing that they want and then us driving towards it. Any other questions? Yes.
So going back to the Excel spreadsheet that you gave an example on.
Yes.
Is that a way, how are you live in the moment due to time constraints inputting that data into that?
That's a lot of people.
I mean, it's just,
some of it's manual and some of it's automated, right? Some of it comes from like different API connections that we've set to different platforms, and some of it, like end of day reports, are things that we have a human look over at the end of the day, right, to confirm that it's actually correct and true information, right? But it's a bunch of people inputting. That's the beautiful thing about like Google Docs and Google Sheets. Like multiple people can write a document at the same time, right? Multiple people can put information into a spreadsheet at the same time. That being said, having a spreadsheet where you manually enter all the information in is also inefficient as fuck. Yeah. So if you, I don't want to turn this into like an Excel spreadsheet lesson or class, which I'm sure you already know, I know, Shane. And if you need to, there are things that you can do to draw information from other software platforms, as long as you have like their API or to potentially connect them, or and then different things you can do to connect sheets, right? Internal sheets and things that you can do to connect other sheets to aggregate to another overarching sheet, right? So that we can start to do something that I didn't write down, which is learning how to forecast and predict, which I think is extremely important. And I think that's a whole nother thing. For me, that's what I'm attempting to do with my spreadsheets. I hope that answers your question. How do I get all that data in there?
Well, that leaves open one other thing, which is the most important aspect. Okay, so in the process of this system, I'm sure there was a process to get to there.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like Miguel, day 7. How in the world were you keeping track of this? That got you to this point. Now knowing what you know, that you would do differently, because this is something I see plague 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure companies and above.
So, I mean,
I'm
of course.
I'm curious because your process was actually one of the most brilliant I've seen in a long time. So I'm giving you some kudos.
Thank you. I'm
So-
blushing. Can you see it?
Yes, you are.
You can see it.
Yeah, I see it.
It's the lighting.
Stop. It's uncomfortable now. Anyway.
First things first is we game plan the KPIs that seem most important to a different product or project. Well, let's back up. First, we identify the different products or projects that we have going on, and then we break it into time. I had a great coach once ask me, what are your goals? And I was like, well, I want to do this, this, and that. And he was like, by the way, this is like Coach of the Year, 7 years in a row. People come from all over the world to train with this coach. And he said, I started talking about my goals, and he said, they're not written down, are they? Are they written down? I was like, no. And he was like, they don't mean shit. And I was like, oh. I guess I better write them down. He just slid me a piece of paper and a pen. I started writing them down. After I wrote all of them down, he was like, at that moment in my head, he said, great, how quickly are we going to get this done? And I was like, well, he's like, you don't have a time frame? And I was like, well, I was thinking about, I was kind of hemming and hawing around at that time. And he was like, if there's no time frame, it doesn't mean shit. Your numbers, your goals don't mean anything. We need to get it done in this time frame. So we take KPIs and then we take the multiplier of time, right? Which is for me a gap to goal based on each day. So if we need to make $30,000 in a month, and there's 30 days in a month, then that means our gap to reach our goal daily is $1,000 a day, right? So now we're able to look per day whether or not how close we're getting to our goal. And we set that gap to goal weekly, right? So if our gap to goal is, X, and we have to figure out daily as a team how we're gonna get that. Well, Facebook has a high show rate right now, and Google has a low show rate, and the cycle of conversion for this new product is 3 days, and we have 5 days left in the week. So let's take away from Google, scale up Facebook, let's double down on that, and we'll do a 12-hour milestone, and then we'll do a 24-hour test, right? Okay, great, right? And then we're able to make pivots based off of that information fast to be able to make sure we catch back up to our gap to goal. But I mean, it doesn't, and I would say that those are our overarching things. I need these things in this time. Now, what makes up those things? And what do those things rely on? And what makes up those things? And then whatever my goals are, they have to be in reference to something else. So I have to have a ratio or a percentage attached to that. I don't know if you noticed on there, we had show rates and we had percentages, and we had close rate percentage, because they're not necessarily the same thing, right? Just because the people should. So we have to know where in our conversion path adjustments need to be made. So lots of people are showing up, but close rate is low. That means we have to train our people to close better, or create some kind of new product based on information. Let's survey those people that said no. It's too much. We're not going to lower the price. We're going to create a different product with less value that will allow them to be able to say yes, and then we can upgrade them later on, right, instead of wasting that money. Cool. Let's say the close rate's fucking high. We're nailing it. Show rate is low. That's a toughie. That happens every time Facebook changes an algorithm. Then we have to look at different types of things, right? That's usually a conversion path issue, right? Oh man, people aren't answering their phone. Let's put a link in for them to set their own appointments, right? People are not setting their appointment as quickly. Let's put a video up there that's real quick and put some whiz bang around it and says, click this button, some arrows, right? Set your appointment now to get a gift, right? To increase show rate, like those kind of things. And Shane, you're right. It is a lot, which is why people are like, aren't you scared of sharing this information? No, because you're not going to do it, because you're fucking weak, right? And if you did it for 1 month, it doesn't mean you're going to do it 2 months. And if you do it 2 months, it doesn't mean you're going to do it 3 months. And if you do it consistently 6 and plus months, and you build off of it, then I mean, shit, I would love to have coffee with you because we might make great partners, right? So anyway, it is a lot, which is why growing and building a team and empowering them is so important. Yeah. As far as sales funnel is concerned, if you haven't broken your sales funnel down into channels to see the reality of your sales funnel, then I think you've made a misstep, right? And if you haven't identified the opportunity of selling in the middle of your funnel, then I think you've made a misstep. If you haven't identified selling opportunities at the bottom of your funnel, then I think you've made a misstep, right? For us, I have created. You guys don't mind? Am I going too deep?
No, you are.
No,
Keep going, please.
Yeah, all the way.
I will say though, we do have to be out at 9. So,
Oh, man.
We have 18 minutes.
10 more minutes. 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
Keep it going. But I have 10 more minutes.
For instance,
I mean, they will kick us out whether or
Yeah.
not Wyo lets us.
Whether it's me.
one of my this is one of my faves. This is a prospect lead scoring matrix based on demographics, behavior, behavior asset scoring index. If you haven't identified where your investment versus stage concepts are, and start to like improve conversions based on that, I don't want to trip over my own words, but I have found that so I created 5 zones, and this is a lead scoring matrix, right? Because we score our leads, right? Our prospects based on where they are inside of our funnel, what kind of behaviors they've done, and we match them up to different sales personnel based on different, like each of our sales guys has a card, like a baseball card, right? Man, Adrian closes this percentage of women. Let's send more women his way, right? Tom closes a whole lot more Google people. Let's send more Google people his way, even if we don't understand it, right? The numbers are what the numbers are, right? And then, of course, within those prospects, another concept would be, if you can see the different sheets at the bottom, based on their demographics, their behavior, even behavior decay, right? Which is, whether they did or did not do something in a certain time period. If you're not looking at, once you have enough people inside of your funnel, right? If you're not looking to convert those people at each stage of the funnel, I think that you have an awesome opportunity to increase revenue, right? What we noticed were, if you notice right here, people with high investment, that means they're seeing, they've ingested more and digested more of our content. They're still opening, right? Those people are more invested inside of our program. And in a later stage, those are the more valuable people. The show rate for those people is high. The close rate for those people is high. Guess what we were doing with them? Nothing. We weren't doing anything with them. We weren't even looking at them until we made the choice. Anything that you measure, here's my firm belief. I'm talking to my staff, though. Anything you measure, and they say, improves. Anything you measure consistently improves exponentially. Exponentially. So part of my job is constantly hunting down what is the next thing to measure. Because once we measure it, it improves. We started measuring that people with high investment in late stages of our funnel converted like crazy. We just had to make them a more clear offer and treat them like we treated them when they first came into the funnel. Whose fault was that? Whose opportunity was that? That was ours. So we made that adjustment, and it improved our system. Hope I didn't just ramble.
No.
Okay. And if you're not scoring your leads and you have a solid funnel, I would say that would be one of the first places for you to look. There's a lot of different ways that people score leads, but they're all based on the same concepts, which is behavior, demographics. I would say that a lot of people forget to include decay, right? Which is somebody not doing something for so long, so they lose points. Implement that inside of your autoresponder, into your CRM, and God bless you. And it should have some awesome effects. It's had awesome effects for me and for my clients that on the business side of things. Those are great questions. I'm always concerned about giving like data overload. And any other questions? Nope.
Is there by chance these generic templates that you would be willing to share on that? Just because there's a lot that still could not read, even though I'm looking right here. I don't know what it is, but those are good.
I'm sure I could be convinced.
Okay. We'll find time for coffee here for lunch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. With that, thank you everybody so much for allowing me to, the honor and pleasure of being able to share with you. I believe that happiness is only real when it's shared, and I believe that it really truly only is real when it's shared, and it means a lot to me to be able to share my experiences and empower and enrich my community, which of course you are entrepreneurs, so you are my community, right? So thank you very much. So my hand for you.
Thanks everybody for coming out. And thank you for agreeing to speak on such, short notice. And Wyatt, thanks for helping coordinate and organize everything.
Feel free to grab some pizza and beer, guys, before we put it away.
All sponsored by Internet Marketing Party.
Yeah, which attend on the 18th. Internet Marketing Party, everybody.
Gonna have a huge one.
Gonna
Highly
be really
recommend
big.
you go.
I got the email.
I don't miss those when I'm in town as best I can.
It's a panel of paleo.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. What was your name? I'm a hugger.
Troy Wall.
Troy, pleasure to meet you, Troy.
Hi, nice to meet you.
What kind of business do you do?
So I do like a media production. I have my main business is media production, but I'm starting like a health and wellness business that has this like exfoliating, deep cleansing product. So I'm just starting that out.
Cool.
So
If there's a way I can help you, you're on Facebook?
yeah, I'll Facebook friend you.
Cool. Sounds
All
like a
right.
plan. Thank you.
But we'll see.
I look forward to
If
it.
there's some way I can help you out, just let me know.
Hey, I love that. I always
I know
appreciate
you
help.
I do video stuff.
And most of those people aren't.
Sounds like you kind of have it under control.
Man,
We can just have lunch and or whatever, drink.
I love lunch and I love
and
drinks.
then figure something out.
All right, I dig it. I appreciate it. I'll look forward to seeing you in my book of faces.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Justin.
Mikal. Yes.
Dude, yeah, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
We've
you.
been talking a lot about you. I'm really excited
He's been trying to convince Justin to come.
To come
and he's
train?
like,
Right.
Yes.
Perfect.
I trained in Miami for a few months.
With who?
Cyborg at Fight Sports.
I know Cyborg.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
yeah.
good friend. Yeah, he's a cool
So,
guy.
that was
I know
fun.
him, Albert Hughes, and all those
Okay.
guys.
Yeah, and we just moved away from there,
Mhm.
so I haven't trained since. But now,
Welcome to Austin.
Yeah, I feel
Thank
like
you.
he needs to, okay, when he was going, it was amazing because every time he would just be so satisfied, more satisfied from them any other workout.
Mhm.
It was walking distance
Mental
though.
and
And
emotional.
that
Oh,
was
yeah.
making, I think that was a big difference, that it was walking distance for us in Miami. So like
Yes.
he would walk 10
Where do you guys live right now?
downtown.
Walking
Downtown?
distance to
Yeah.
here.
Perfect. You're in walking distance to your car,
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
car is in
Yeah.
car walking distance to. No, actually, in a few months we'll probably be opening another location downtown. Is what we're looking at
That's
right
awesome.
Nice.
now. In the interim, though,
Yeah.
if you remember one, you remembered all of them.
Cool.
I can hook you up with a free session, and
Sweet.
if you dig our style, you
Yeah.
dig it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
I'll grab your info. Let me grab my
Sure.
phone.
Otherwise, telling David, I'm currently working on squatting 400. Like I want to
Well,
do
he's
that,
okay.
and so I like don't want to start rolling and like.
We have a squat rack
Abandon that goal.
right. We have a squat
There
rack
you go.
right next to the mat.
There we go, yeah.
So no,
He's there
Yeah.
Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday morning, I'm out there squatting and deadlifting as well. So,
Perfect.
all right, let me get off.
So go tomorrow.
Let me
Yeah.
Yeah, go tomorrow morning.
at the location.
Yes.
What's easier for you,
Just
morning
leave it
or
Early morning.
early morning? Is best for you?
Yeah.
What about have
Maybe not
a
that particular minute when he arrived.
7:30. I have a 10 a.m.
He would like walk on the
Excuse me.
train.
Which one works best for you?
Yeah.
10 is better.
He is like.
10
It
a.m.?
needs to be really early, yeah, if it's gonna be early.
Oh, okay.
Like 6 would be
6.
okay,
I don't think I have anybody
Yeah.
at 6, but
That's
okay.
cool.
If Justin, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I'm not judging somebody else. Justin, and I'll let the team know it's my personal friend. What's your phone number?
512-879-8439.
I'll put you in my phone too.
Cool, thanks.
10. Location.
What do you want me to say?
What is this?
Huh?
From here.
Where you are?
Boom. You are in, sir.
Awesome,
I'm gonna text you though
perfect.
right now, because normally they would text you themselves.
So then I'll know the
Yeah,
consequences of not showing up.
Yeah.
I hear a little bit of you.
How about here?
Yeah, I hear you better there.
Really?
It's like a mechanical voice or something.
Oh, you like that?
Can you hear
What?
me?
What's your last name?
you hear me now?
Litch?
A little.
Hmm?
It's almost like I'm tripping on something really hard and you're really, really far away. and
You
the
guys are
other
already cool
universe
now,
trying
right?
to
Yeah.
or I'm like, it's like breaking out and
You know
something
what?
removes
But I think
itself.
there's a right and a left here.
Do you
Yeah.
use intercom by chance?
I'm looking at intercom right now.
Okay.
But
You see how
I'm looking
it's
at a couple things that
it's like breaking
friends were
out.
saying
It's
were
like
better.
a
Okay.
void, it's not a flow.
We're doing like event tracking
Like
through the funnel type stuff.
Pixels.
Oh, I was talking about
No.
chatbot.
Or, yeah,
No?
yeah,
Stuff,
yeah.
yeah.
that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Like pixels of.
But they got started as an
It's not a
events kind of
flow.
platform,
I know they-
and then turned into the chat.
Okay, 'cause they got better at that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I've been doing?
Mm.
So I told you I started writing. So I'm like, okay.
I think you were at the grand opening of Aces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I think there's different levels.
Yeah. Or maybe they're just not all the way.
Boom.
You
Yeah.
know?
All
You know,
right.
the way we
You're in.
do
Thank you,
it
sir.
now, because-
I am
Look forward
stoked,
to seeing
man.
it. Yeah.
Of course, especially with that Armani shirt.
Wait, you going
Nice.
tomorrow?
Yeah.
Awesome,
I'm
I'm so
going.
happy,
10 a.m.
so happy.
Those are some of my favorite shirts, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Mhm.
They
I
are
love it.
soft and like,
Yeah.
no, I love it.
Oh, and he can wear different gi that he has, he doesn't have to wear your,
The only rule we have centered around gis are that the other people's teams can't come and rock their flag
okay. But
inside of our
it's-
place.
Is that a team?
Is it
you have-
Cyborg's gi?
Yeah.
No, I mean we'll
Well,
hook you
it's
up.
like fight sports.
Fight sports.
Yeah.
You're good
Yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
Just
I was.
no,
I
you're
did
all
it for
good.
like 3 months.
No, you're all good.
Yeah.
That's the only rule around that. If you show up in gi, cool. If you show up in workout clothes, cool. As long as you bring a smile.
Okay.
Sweet.
And then cry.
and then hey, you know what? If you don't have a little tears with your smile, you know you haven't lived.
So do you have actually little kids you teach too?
Yes.
Because how little?
The youngest we take on right now is 6, but we do have accepted some 5-year-olds. And we're about to start our Little Aces program that accepts 3-year-olds.
Whoa, that's
Right.
cute.
And then it's only going to be a 30, 45-minute class.
Yeah, of course.
They can only handle.
Oh, yeah.
Attention span there is
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
How old is your daughter?
She is about to be 4 years old.
Okay.
Nice.
Valentina, our daughter is 5, just
5.
turned 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 20.
So they would be
12?
going, they would be
Yes,
going,
12.
yeah.
Yeah.
If she if your daughter went to Montessori school, they would be in the same classroom.
Okay. Actually, she started off in Montessori, and then moved her into a charter school.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's the best job I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I say that, people are like, oh, did it as a single dad. She really made it easier on me.
Hmm.
Man, you would.
It's just such a great excuse to do more, I think. You know,
Yeah.
because of her, I learned how to ski because we needed to go ski with her, and
Yeah.
the friend was going, and I'm like, I'm learning, and now like I wrote a blog post about adults learning new things, and it was like a parallel because we started in the same time.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, okay, cool. So now she's learning violin. I'm like learning about violin. It's so great, so great.
That's why we started. This is something a lot of people don't do. We created a family class.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a really interesting opportunity for children, not just to learn because your parent said so,
Yeah.
but to
Yeah.
model how your parent is learning and
Yeah.
watch them go through the trials of trying to figure something out.
Okay.
Right? You come up in that same program with
That's awesome.
Irene.
Yeah.
And it's really, I think it
Yeah, you
brings.
can go. You can bring Valentina and roll with her.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I'd love that.
It brings
Yeah.
families
Okay,
closer
and
together.
also, would it make your body bulky?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how the women, like women go and work out and their muscles get like
Yeah.
muscular, manly.
Blocky. So I used to be,
No,
I
I
used to be
think
a
she's
personal trainer a long
asking-
time ago. as well.
And
And
No, 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 but she's
no,
asking
you
like
don't
if
want to
it
look
goes
blocky. You
No.
want to hold them and
Right?
feminine look.
Well, I do ballet. I'm all about lean, long muscle with, if I can be taller.
Jiu-Jitsu, you're not really lifting and moving the other person as much as you're moving yourself,
Okay.
which definitely, it's not putting on weight.
So it's more like Pilates in some way, that you're using your own resistance.
Like
in some
very
ways.
active yoga / Pilates.
Okay.
Yeah, I often call
So
it. I often call it.
Aggressive
In,
yoga.
something. What's it called when it's something against your will?
Forced.
yoga.
No. Like involuntary. I call it involuntary yoga.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. I want my
How
leg
you end
back.
up in this position?
Okay, so it's not something, because David has been, and Ollie were saying that it's good to come and do, and
Mhm.
I want to keep my long muscles.
Oh, you're not gonna have an issue.
Is
with
there-
that.
Okay.
In fact, that actually makes you better at. You're gonna be
Yeah.
great at.
Better, okay.
Right. When I'm looking at you right now, I'm like, I would love to train you.
Okay.
Like
I'll come,
long legs and limbs are easier to grab people.
And
when they're far
flexible,
away.
so in flexibility then
Yeah.
helps too, because you can, I guess, just,
In the right way.
In the
yes.
right way.
In the right way.
yeah.
As long as
Cool.
there's tension.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll brave in and I'll let you know.
Excited? No, think about it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, for sure, and I would love my daughter to come, because I was watching actually something on a Russian, I'm from Russia, so one of the Russian people
You're
posted.
from Russia?
Well,
I was like, dude,
but,
what?
because my community also
Yeah.
comes from Russia, so
Yeah.
I see Russian posts, and that's
Yeah.
how I connect, and so yesterday they were talking about like girls kind of learning how to defend themselves and
Yes.
being able to stand up, and so like it's important, so I've started thinking about how,
Yeah.
but not being manly, right?
No,
Like not
no.
going like manly for it, because that's kind of a line for a lot of women, right? Just being able, like, this is my center, and if you come for me, I
I'm gonna
will,
take you down.
I will take you down.
So
Yeah.
women's empowerment is
Only
actually a really that's a demographic.
Yeah,
That's a demographic that I have a lot of personal care for.
okay,
I of course growing up, having checked everything off in the nerd box, right? I got into a bunch of fights, and I would fight back, right? Because I was able to, and my family empowered me to be able to do that. Like if you get, as long as you didn't start the fight, you're all good, right? And but a bunch of my friends didn't, because they felt they were too small or too weak or something like that. And I still carry that with me. And it's one of the things that inspired me to want to help coach other people. And so that demographic, it means a lot to me, and which is why I like to help empower women, centered around really everybody, but especially women, because it's like, I'm smaller than this guy, I can't do anything with him. If I hit him, and I'm like, you're right, you're not gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, maybe I could kick him in the balls, and I'm like, no, that's all not gonna work.
it's not really easy.
But no, it can be. And then and when I teach women's I don't like to call it self-defense, like empowerment seminars. I show them first, because I show them some YouTube videos, right? Interestingly enough, one of the videos shows this guy decks the shit out of her at a party. Everybody's drinking, right? And I guess they had a disagreement about something. Hall's like, bam, decks the shit out of her. She hits the ground. She pops back up. She takes his back. She gets behind him, and then she strangles him until he is unconscious. And then with her heels, she like steps on him several times, and then walks off.
What was
Right?
this?
Was that?
What was that?
It's a YouTube video. It was,
Oh,
yeah, and I showed it on the women's empowerment page. So it's just really interesting because like two things are impactful for me. One, that small woman's able to overpower that larger man using science. That's what jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah.
Using leverage,
Science.
simple mechanics. That's what she was using. Let me not be in front of this guy because he's obviously bigger and stronger than me, and that punch hurt, right? So as long as you know how to maneuver effectively and get behind them, then you're in a good position. And what's he gonna do? Hit you through himself? These punches don't. I'm gonna headbutt you. Not if our heads are connected, right? I don't care how strong you are. You can't create concussive force. And then strangle him, which she did, and he went to sleep. There was another video. Actually, there's a bunch of videos where these things happen. And someone interviewed her, and she only been training for like a year and a half.
No.
She wasn't a lifelong practitioner.
just-
But suddenly all those like that whole year and a
It
half
all came
like
back
clicked
as-
in
yeah.
and it was like second nature for to do these movements.
Absolutely, which is really interesting. The second interesting thing is, do you know why we have that video?
Right.
Because no one helped her.
Yeah.
She
And
got
that's-
decked, and they
and
held that
nobody-
camera steady as fuck.
Wow.
Nobody helped her.
Nobody went.
Nobody was gonna help her. She had to help herself. And for me, as if I really am honest with my coaching vibe, I'm like, oh man, my coaching spirit. I'm like, that's the kind of person I want to help. That's the person I want to empower, right? When this person twice your size walks up, and you're like, I'll break your fucking leg, you know? And so anyway, that being said, I would love to share with you, and I think it's important. Like it's important for my daughter.
Yeah.
I think it's for all girls. I think, especially.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
Because you really never know when.
Luna's
yeah.
been doing moves since she couldn't, before she could walk. She would be on the mats
Baby
with us,
jujitsu.
and
Yeah.
she would just start doing stuff, and it was
Yeah.
just the
I'm
coolest.
gonna interrupt guys,
Yeah.
but it's already
Yes.
9 o'clock, so we
Okay,
should
let's
get
go.
going. Thank
Let's
you
go.
all very much for being here today.
Thank you. My Russian is like limited to like Ty krasiva dziewuszka.
Aww.
Provoros.
Is
And like it's like limited to like pickup lines I learned when I was living in Korea.
Is this your charger?
Yes. There's a huge community in Korea, believe it or not. Hey, what's up, brother? What kind of business do you have?
I do the copywriting, and I'm kind of like the marketing director of a startup health insurance company in
Okay.
Colorado.
Yes.
I was wondering if I could connect with your director of marketing.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, how's it going? Yeah.
Do you do all your own copywriting?
No, I have a team, but I lead the team.
How long have you been doing this? Because,
Was it your bag?